Whisper it quietly, but we've been lying to ourselves. Wherever you look, you can see blogs and articles bigging up the benefits of hybrid working, flexibility, well-being, work-life balance, productivity and much more. But if you look a bit more carefully, you can also find a growing voice of concern. We have begun to believe our own hype. Hybrid working is not as inclusive as we thought. Is hybrid more inclusive? We often hear that hybrid working is better for inclusion. It allows people to find a better work-life fit, it's more accessible for people with certain mobility disabilities and reduces the financial pressure on getting to work. However, there is a significant downside. It is much easier to consciously exclude people in hybrid working. In an office environment, you can see coworkers meeting or socializing. A manager can see when team members are not included in conversations or activities. Hybrid working hides this away. Harmful gossip, discriminatory jokes and comments, or cliques have moved to digital forms of communication and may not even use corporate networks, taking place on WhatsApp or other messaging platforms. Accidental exclusion. It's not just deliberate exclusion that increases. It's much easier to overlook colleagues accidentally. It is much harder to build and develop new relationships, so we rely on tried and tested networks. Our natural instincts reinforce our preference for silos. Research in 2022 showed that our networks have reduced by 50% compared to those built before hybrid working. There is a direct impact on inclusion. If you're not in the in-group network, your voice is heard less, your opinions count for less, you receive less credit and are valued less. The barrier of language. Inclusion is also damaged by the imperialism of the English language. Native speakers are more likely to be heard, more likely to be acknowledged and credited with creative ideas and solutions. Conversely, people speaking a second or third language are more likely to be overlooked, interrupted or not given time to make a point. Increased isolation. While it is true that many people enjoy working from home and benefit from the reduced interruptions and distractions of an office, for many more, interaction with colleagues is the only contact with other people that some have. Humans are social animals and need regular contact with others to maintain mental health. Too many people feel isolated and lonely in hybrid teams, and even when they are working in the office, the reduced number of people around can emphasize that loneliness. Switching off. And we haven't even started talking about the blurring of work and home life, expectation of always online culture, fear of missing out, and the challenge of inviting colleagues into our home life. A former colleague of mine was outed as gay to her colleagues completely unexpectedly, when they heard her and her partner having an off-mic conversation when she thought she was muted. The constant reminder of work stresses and challenges that a laptop in the corner represents has an impact on our ability to switch off and recharge, and for many people their sleep space and workspace are separated by a short step across the room. So here are a few suggestions that might help you get the inclusion part sorted as a great foundation to build the rest. Empathy. Firstly, be aware that the experience of hybrid working is not the same for everyone. Check in with your colleagues, asking how they are and being empathetic. We've all got used to virtual coffees and social chit-chat at the start of meetings, but this is going further, particularly if you manage others. It may be time-consuming, but having regular catch-ups with your teams is essential, and if possible, have a regular face-to-face team meeting. You could even schedule a couple of one-to-ones for the same day to make best use of the time. Work-life balance. We're getting used to seeing people add their pronouns to the bottom of emails. However, for hybrid working, consider encouraging your team to add their working hours, when they intend to be online, making sure they update it each week. With hybrid working, it's not as clear what time zone people are in, or if they have switched to more convenient working hours. Putting your hours, particularly for part-time workers, makes it explicit when you are likely to be available for meetings and replies. Dictate to cooperate. And our final tip, be a more directive facilitator of meetings. Informal meetings work best for the in-group and those with high fluency. Making meetings more formal may seem a step backwards in terms of progress, however, it means that you can have a formal agenda, giving everyone time to prepare and consider their points. It allows you, as chair, to guide the conversation more forcefully to ensure that everyone can contribute. Inclusion is the key issue facing organizations in this decade. The pandemic restrictions uncovered some of the exclusive working practices that the privileged majority have overlooked. Hybrid working is here to stay, and if we are to ensure that hybrid approaches are inclusive, we still have some work to do. The suggestions we have made here are a tiny start, but can be part of the cultural shift we all need to make to get the most out of the opportunity that hybrid working brings. Subscribe for more, and visit countrynavigator.com for full blogs.